Here are some YouTube channels I found over the past 3-ish years and that I'm enjoying. These channels are about all sorts of things. There will be a second video that's channels that deal with the media in one way or the other.
The world's first elevator shaft was installed 4 years before the elevator was invented, which sounds ridiculous, but inside this building, the Cooper Union Foundation building in New York City, is the world's first elevator shaft, the first time a building was constructed to have a space for an elevator top to bottom. Because when this was being designed in the 1850s, the architect and owner looked at New York City just starting to sprawl wider and rise higher, and they predicted someone is going to invent a safe passenger elevator soon.
The only thing nobody knew was what would be the shape of the elevator cab. And Peter Cooper bet on circular, since it's the most efficient way spatially to put the most number of people in the smallest shaft and to carry them vertically.
And here's a bigger question. What should we be designing for now? Not just in buildings, but anywhere. What's the thing that is going to seem obvious in 20 or 30 years, but no one can see coming now?
Tom Scott has an educational YouTube channel about all sorts of trivia. His main series are Things You Might Not Know, where he talks about a concept or something that maybe isn't widely known. Sometimes answering a question you might have asked yourself, like, why are there so few mixer taps in the UK? Or sometimes talking about a unique thing, like the history of the first elevator shaft. Then there's Built for Science, which is pretty much that. Things or tools that are built for science and how they're used. Amazing Places, which again, as the name says, somewhere unique places with interesting histories or legal situations or science behind them. And then there's also a bunch of videos on coding and linguistics and a bunch more interesting things. For the most part, it's somewhat useless trivia, but also very interesting and presented in a very interesting way, often with interviews of experts.
MRIs reveal smartphone addiction physically changes brains, cries a headline from Cult of Mac, who picked up the story from the Daily Mail. Everything changes your brain.
Rebecca Watson makes educational YouTube videos as well. I just very recently discovered her. She also talks about science, quite often very recent science discoveries or debunking recent pseudoscience bullshit. Her videos are more sit down, talk to the camera style, but I still find her presentation very entertaining while being educational.
So when considering the environmental impact of coffee, it's not just the visible waste of unnecessary to-go cups that we need to address. It's also the impact that stretches back to, and indeed is centered around, how coffee is grown. So in very simple terms, there are two ways of cultivating coffee: shade-grown and sun-grown. Sun-grown coffee is just another way to describe the relatively new quote-unquote technified or industrial coffee farming systems. These production methods were kickstarted in the 1970s and 80s by neoliberal policies championed by the United States Agency for International Development, or USAID, and the World Bank, which sought to industrialize supply chains to increase yields and drive down prices.
Our changing climate. As the name suggests, this is a channel about climate change. The videos are quite high quality and each episode inspects a certain aspect of something related to climate change, but also considering the wider impacts on the environment and humanity. There's videos looking into the impact of companies like Amazon or 4Ocean, or for example plastic straw bans or climate strikes. Overall, the videos seem very well researched, so if you're interested in the environment, I'd highly recommend this channel.
But this puts me in a difficult situation, because I want to defend my sense of humor, which I feel is like the core of my personality and what keeps me alive. But at the same time, I've noticed that a lot of the people in our culture who are really big on defending provocative, controversial, politically incorrect comedy are kind of, dick nuggets?
Some of the conditions in the commercial fishing industry basically meet the definition of modern slavery. So when it comes to fish, climate change border controls and labor rights aren't three separate issues. It's one big problem.
There's this idea floating around this conversation that the world either is now or will soon be overpopulated, such that our planet will literally be unable to sustain us. And insofar as millions of people live in extreme poverty and die every day from preventable causes, I'd say we're already there. But in a future where we re-examine our lifestyle choices and reframe poverty as unacceptable, it's possible the Earth could sustain even more people than we have now.
ContraPoints, Philosophy Tube, and T1J. So I'm gonna do a bad and just lump 3 channels together as video essayists, because otherwise I'd be saying roughly the same things 3 times over. Obviously, they're not exactly the same. However, they all make long-form content discussing mostly political or social issues, including a lot of research, usually with some personal anecdotes. Their styles vary, so just check them out, see what you like. Philosophy Tube, for example, as the name suggests, applies various philosophies to current world situations and explains them that way. What they all have in common, I'd say, is that while they do express a political opinion, they don't require the viewer to already be of that same opinion or be knowledgeable on the subject, as they explain things from the ground up. So that stupid German like me can learn about redlining in the United States. So, while some of their styles can certainly be unusual, the actual content is quite approachable.
We understand that people have to use the bathroom and have to go to work and have to, we understand, have to go to school. We understand that that's a normal thing that most people do. But as a transgender person, by virtue of you being transgender, especially when you don't pass or don't want to pass, right, you're viewed as being forceful and being pushy. And that's the reality of it.
Cat Black also talks about social issues, but generally more just sharing her personal experience and perspective, and a lot more unedited. She makes vlogs, basically. Her videos also tend to be on the longer side, maybe a bit long-winded sometimes, but she's a good storyteller, and it's interesting to hear her perspective on things.
So, since you know what a golden shower is, what do you think a Roman shower is?
Is it worse?
Yes.
Is it the same thing,
well, I mean,
but worse?
I guess, depending on who you are. I thought you would like this one because I thought maybe you'd know something about the Romans.
Next one.
Yeah, we can move on. That one's vomit. So what do you think aftercare is?
That's actually kind of better than I thought it was.
Really? Oh, you thought it was a brown shower? So you think, okay, yeah, we can move on.
Stevie is a vlogger / entertainer and also sex educator. She has a lot of lesbian sex ed or relationship advice videos, but most of sex ed and human relationships are universal, so just watch her videos. Her videos are super funny. She uses a lot of alter egos based on zodiac signs, which I guess if you know about those, it's even funnier. But yeah, I find her very entertaining, and you also learn things. Yay!
Fuck turfs.
So I got my condom. We're gonna cut off the tip here, and then we're gonna just cut, and then we unroll it. Bam! DIY dental dam here.
What's My Body Doing is another sex ed channel. If you like sexplanations, you might like this one. The host, Eva, studied social psychology, so there's a lot of videos about interesting studies or science related to sex, and yeah, just very well-made educational content.
The ION LRT is Ontario's first implementation of the standard North American light rail traffic signal. Rather than the green, yellow, and red traffic signals used in Toronto, Waterloo Region's transit signals have a white vertical bar representing the green light, a flashing version of that bar representing the yellow light, and a horizontal white bar representing the red light.
Reaper Express is a channel about public transport and cycling, mainly in the Toronto area, I think. Videos on how transit signal priority works in Toronto, update videos on recent transport developments, Look, I'm a nerd. I like trains, okay?
Ask yourself, what is the point of a map on a classroom wall? Is it to teach children how to navigate the ocean in a boat? No, it's so they can understand the world around them. And understanding something like Africa is huge is pretty important.
From now on, any entrepreneur wanting to build tramways in London would have to bury their tracks nicely into the road out of harm's way and pay for the maintenance of the entire road surface. This meant they now had to solve a rather sticky problem.
The average horse produced between 15 and 35 pounds of manure per day. It was famously predicted that if London's horse traffic continued to increase, it would be 9 foot deep in horse manure by 1950.
Jay Foreman, another channel about infrastructure, sort of. They have a series called Map Men, where they talk about maps, basically. And one called Unfinished London, where they talk about infrastructure projects in London. Their tagline is very silly educational videos, and yeah, that fits. The videos are hilarious, even including their sponsorships. Even if you don't care about maps or London, they're just great to watch. Shingo Kuroda is a channel of beautiful drone footage of abandoned buildings and coverage of office chair race championships. I don't know what else to say. To be fair, I'm only there for the ruins, but yeah, if you like fancy aerial shots of ruins or office chair races, head over.
Like, if someone recommends a classic album to me, it's like, yeah, it's called this, I look it up on Spotify, chances are it's probably there, and there you go, I can just enjoy that bit of history. And it is about preserving history. Games are so, you know, just the whole culture of it on the publisher end is just not interested at all in preserving any old games. It's just constantly like, no, we want you playing the new thing that we just built, and we want it to be your life forever, always, until like maybe a year from now when we shut the servers down and make a new game.
Mundane Pixels. He's got a bunch of gaming videos on his channels, but recently he's just been vlogging, and I haven't seen many people just straight up stream of consciousness vlogging recently. I'm sure there's still plenty who do it, but not in my sub box. Yeah, I just enjoy his videos. They're well spoken, some interesting ideas, often funny, and yeah, just a solid vlogger.